Phase 1 is now won. Now we move to Phase 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is another Declaration of Truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. This is another two-parter because I have a lot of ground to cover. In Part 1, I'm going to talk about where we are and how we got here, including what happens to abortion immediately. Then in Part 2, I'll talk about where we go from here, meaning what groundwork we must start now to lay to win the war for good. Before I begin, I want to shout out to the sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down to near the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there, including this rhino hunting t-shirt. A lot of rhino hunting took place in Ohio and Indiana yesterday. While we're at it, I'll shout out to another sponsor, BitNext. This is your replacement for Zoom, Slack, the Google G Suite, Microsoft Office 365, Dropbox, WeTransfer, and Chili Piper, among others. Unlike any of them, BitNext protects your content and conversations so well, even the administrators can't see them. So this is your channel for secure comms, conferencing, cloud storage, and file sharing. And best of all, everything is back-end, so you don't even need client software. If you have a browser, you can use BitNext. Follow the link and give them a try. 28 days free of charge. You can't beat that with a stick. All right, division, attend, shut! After a 49-year campaign, I can say with 99% confidence, mission accomplished. But pulling down Roe v. Wade is only our first objective. Pro-life activists need to start now with the next phase of activism in a post-Roe world. This phase involves political and educational action at state, county, or parish, municipal, and house of worship, school, and family levels. I've left a link in the description to all CNAV Roe v. Wade leak articles, so let's sum up. Justice Samuel A. Alito drew the assignment to write a majority opinion in the case of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. The court was going to find for the petitioner, the state of Mississippi, and reverse the Fifth Circuit. In so reversing, at least 5 justices voted to overrule Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. Justice Alito wrote his opinion and circulated it on February 10, 2022. We must assume that this opinion has already gone through at least one revision. Dissenting justices have written their dissents, and maybe someone has written an opinion concurring in part and dissenting in part. That's all we know or can reasonably infer. Then, on Monday evening, someone, maybe a clerk for Justice Sotomayor, leaked the first draft of that opinion to Politico.com. I have a link in the description to that draft opinion. Now, shortly before that story broke, barriers went up around the Supreme Courthouse, and the court website announced that the court would close the courthouse to the public until further notice. Those barriers went up just in time because an angry mob gathered on First Avenue Northeast to protest. Chief Justice Roberts has tasked the Marshal of the Supreme Court with investigating who leaked the draft. Rumors have him also asking the FBI to help. Finally, activists and prominent politicians have staged scenes of outrage that would win them Academy Awards. I have a link in the description to Health Ranger Mike Adams' podcast on that very subject. Having mentioned that, I want to say that just possibly all their caterwauling is a sham. I believe Wayne Dupre's theory that whoever leaked the draft did so to influence the midterm elections. Dave Hodges says it best. At last, the Democrats have a talking point going into midterms. They literally cannot talk about anything else. Don't just take my word for it. Play his video. I have a link in the description of that too. Once you understand that, everything makes sense. So don't let Senator Warren or Senator Schumer or Speaker Pelosi or even President Biden fool you. They are displaying fake outrage. They want Roe v. Wade to go down so they can breathlessly say, and it's coat hanger time once again, and millions of innocent women are going to die in childbirth. Incidentally, many wags already have said that Supreme Court managed to unite the country on defining the concept woman. Maybe they can brief Ketanji Brown Jackson when she arrives on the first Monday of October. But I digress. Whoopi Goldberg is displaying so much fake outrage that she lets slip that the unborn child is a person. I quote, "My doctor and myself and my child, that's who makes the decision," unquote Whoopi Goldberg. Excuse me? The child makes the decision? How can that be unless the child is a sentient person, which has been our precise point for 49 years? Not that they can decide, but they are alive and have rights. Which brings us to what happens to abortion immediately. The Supreme Court will, barring incredible accident, admit and erase its error of 49 years ago. When that happens, expect the abortion rate to decline by 10%. That represents the very few abortions anyone is still performing in red states. Several states have only one abortion clinic left. When Roe goes, so go those clinics. 26 states have or will have laws that will curtail or eliminate abortion when Roe goes. They include 18 states with explicit trigger laws and other states that will pass anti-abortion laws swiftly. Medical News Today confirms what everyone knows or should know. 26 states will curtail or eliminate abortion, and their neighbors will prepare to accept new patients or abortion tourists. Now, before you scratch your head and ask, abortion what? An abortion tourist is any woman who travels out of state or even out of the country to get an abortion. Now, I don't expect any further midterms effect except to harden Democratic attitudes and cause the nomination of fanatics who have even less chance of winning a general election, if one can imagine that. Division at ease. Part 1 ends here. I'll start part 2 with a description of the coarsening of the medical profession and how we must correct that. Links to the description of the article, to the Alito draft, to the new Oath of St. Luke, I'll mention that in part 2, to the tag search of all Roe v. Wade articles on CNAV, to the 2 videos I've mentioned, and to conservative news and views. I have another link to the awesome online store and to BitNext, as I also mentioned. And if you like what you've heard, you can like this video and subscribe to this channel. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.